Welcome back to Bishop's Breakdown. This is episode 7, where we talk wrestling, NBA, NFL, everything in between. So let's get it started and break it down. Welcome to episode 7, aka the Michael Vick edition, aka the Ben Roethlisberger edition, aka the David Beckham edition, aka the John Elway edition, aka the Carmelo Anthony edition, aka the Mickey Mantle edition. So welcome to episode 7. Before we jump into this episode, when the football season comes to a close, I'm thinking about focusing more on the NBA. I might even talk a little NHL. More focus on the broader weekly recap. So let's get into it. Let's close out week 13 of the NFL with this Monday night football game between the New England Patriots and New York Giants. Well, Jackson Dart needs a bro, to be real with him. Playing like that might be exciting, might make SportsCenter, might make all the highlights, but his career is going to be real short. He took a shot going to the sideline that I could have sworn he got yeeted across the field. That man flew like someone hit the eject button. Besides that, the game was one-sided. The Patriots are the first team to make 11 wins. Drake May went 24 for 31 with 282 yards and 2 touchdowns. This game was basically over after the first quarter when the Giants were down 17-0. The final score, 33-15. Moving on to Monday Night Raw. The December 1st episode of Raw hailed from Glendale, Arizona. This episode of Raw featured the 2 semifinals match for the Last Time Is Now tournament. LA Knight defeated Jey Uso to advance, while Gunther defeated Solo Sikoa, setting up the final between Knight and Gunther on SmackDown. After the LA Knight Jey Uso match, Jey Uso decided, I want to throw a temper tantrum. And he started throwing prime bottles everywhere and stairs and looking like he got kicked in the Love Below. And he had to whine about it or something. Maybe they're setting up for a heel turn. Who knows? And then in tag team action, the tag team champions AJ Styles and Dragon Lee retained against the New Day of Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Pretty decent match. AJ Styles is amazing. We all know that. Dragon Lee is good. And the New Day, they're the New Day. They're a great tag team. Probably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. We had a women's tag match in the main event. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky taking on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. But that ended in no contest because everybody came out and interfered. Like the Nia Jax and the Kabuki Warriors and all these tag teams vying to challenge for the tag team. So it looks like probably a fatal 4-way tag match is probably in the near future, possibly at the Royal Rumble or at Crown Jewel, which happens right before the Royal Rumble. Then there was a momentum building behind Braun Breaker. After pinning CM Punk at War Games, Breaker cut a passionate, amazing promo that you need to go out of your way to check out because Braun Breaker is the future. And now he's booked to challenge CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship on a Raw in January 5th, 2026. Moving on to SmackDown. Carmelo Hayes accepted Dragunov's open challenge for the U.S. title. Great match. Still unsure where this weekly challenge is going because it's just matches, just random matches every Friday. It's like when it's Friday night, it must be an open challenge. But what happened to Tama Tonga? Because he seemed to be the next challenger, but clearly that didn't happen. Because next week, Ciampa is getting his match, finally, against Dragunov for the U.S. title. And then Cody comes out, mad as after he just jumped Drew McIntyre when Drew McIntyre was trying to come into the building in his rental. But he doesn't address Roman, but he goes back to Drew, begs Nick Aldis, to reinstate him. So in his words, stomp him out like a cockroach. Looks like this match might main event the Crown Jewel pay-per-view in Saudi. Hooray. Never seen that match before. Oh yeah, I have. Like 3 other times. Or 3 million as it feels right now. So I guess we're not moving on from this feud for at least another PLE. Maybe 2. And then crazy thing happened. But the Terror Twins are back. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Looks to be taking on, in the not too distant future, the team of Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. If Aleister Black wins this feud, then I'll be excited. But if Priest and Ripley take him out, in the long run, it means nothing. Because they're both former world champions. Black and Vega needs this rub more than the Terror Twins. And then the Wyatt Six decides to attack the MFTs after Solo was basically saying they ain't nothing. They ain't nobody. I'm better than them. Blah, 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 blah. So the winner of the NXT title match between Ricky Saints and Obi Femi will take on Cody Rhodes at Saturday night's main event. And I'm assuming a non-title match. Ricky Saints versus Cody. They had one singles match in AEW pretty much like 5 years ago. I would be interested in that match, but again, I've seen it before. Obi versus Cody, they have never wrestled each other. That's the one I'm more excited for. That's the one that hopefully they do something and have Obi win and beat Cody. I mean, it's a non-title. I mean, you could have Drew interfere or distract them, but Obi should win this match. There's nothing gained for Cody winning this match. He's already a main eventer. He's already the world heavyweight or the WWE champion. He's already main evented WrestleManias. He gets no rub from beating the new guy. Obi Femi needs to beat Cody Rhodes. Mark my words, if that doesn't happen, then it's a wasted opportunity to make Obi look like the giant that he is, the ruler, as he calls himself. And by the way, Obi Femi is your new NXT World Heavyweight Champion. He beat Ricky Saints clean in the middle of the ring with no, maybe he didn't deserve it, or Ricky should get a rematch because he cheated or something. No, he did what the ruler's supposed to do and ruled that ring and dominated Ricky. And he will face Cody Rhodes. And like I said, he should beat Cody Rhodes. So let's get to the finals of the Last Time Is Now tournament. You got Gunther versus LA Knight. So before I get into that match, let's look at this. Gunther is 38 years old, and LA Knight is 43 years old. Me personally, this tournament should be about passing the torch to a younger superstar, a younger talent, like Carmelo Hayes, like a Bronson Reed, like a Javon Evans. Hell, even a Braun Breaker, or hundreds of young, talented men in the NXT roster, such as Obi Femi, or even outside of the box, Leon Slater, the X Division champion of TNA Wrestling. This tournament, to me, should have been about surprises and showcasing the young talent WWE has to offer. Gunther wins in a decent match and swears he's going to make Cena tap out because this is the never quit guy, the never give up, the hustle, loyalty, and respect. Going to tap out in his final match ever. I mean, it looks like it, but I'm still holding out hope that maybe Cena beats Gunther and then he gets on up and there's a surprise after the match. But as of right now, it looks like Gunther's going to beat him and then he's going to stumble to his feet, give his retirement speech, and fade to black. So I feel the tournament is a waste. He should have just had Gunther challenge Cena from the get-go and stop wasting weeks and weeks with this tournament that ended with a 38-year-old guy facing John Cena, who's already been to WrestleMania, who's already had the longest IC title run, who's already been a two-time World Heavyweight Champion. What does Gunther get? Hell, he even retired Goldberg. He wrestled Goldberg in Goldberg's final match. What does he accomplish from retiring John Cena? Absolutely, positively nothing. And this is where they insult our intelligence and say, oh, it's a surprise, Gunther wins. No, it's not a surprise. Every analyst, every person who ever watched wrestling, even a blind person, seen Gunther winning. As soon as they found out that Gunther was in the tournament, it was his, and it was always going to be him. Unless the surprises were something crazy, but they took all the surprises and made them lose in the first round. So why even have the surprises in the first place? That just seems counterproductive and just a waste of everybody's time. And this little tidbit of information that has to do with AEW and WWE being on the same platform. With the sale of Warner Brothers pending to Netflix, it could make it where you could watch both AEW and WWE on Netflix, same platform. And that would be interesting. Maybe with this deal, maybe, just maybe, I'm holding out hope. I'm holding my breath that AEW and WWE will do some business together. Because AEW versus WWE event would be epic for both companies. They would be literally printing money. And that would be awesome. Let's get right into it. Week 14 of the NFL. Let's talk Thursday Night Football, which had my Detroit Lions taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs had a monster game. 3 total touchdowns. And Jared Goff, he didn't have a mediocre game either. He went 25 for 34 and threw for 309 yards. The defense sacked Dak Prescott 5 times, forced 3 turnovers, 2 picks, and a fumble in a game that they had to win for their playoff hopes to stay alive. And then Dak Prescott, he had a good game. He went 376 yards and a touchdown, but he had 2 picks. And Pickens seems to give 0 effort. Like he was running cardio in his basement on a treadmill. And I'm going to talk more about him and players giving up on their teams mid-season, in the season, during the season, before the season, all that stuff in the Elephant in the Room segment. CeeDee Lamb did what he could do. He had 121 yards receiving, but he went down with a concussion in the third quarter. So what more could he do? They're not going to let him back out there when he's still concussed, when he's loopy, bell rung, all that stuff. But the Lions need to win out. They can't just win a game and lose a game, win a game, lose a game. Like, they need to win out just for a chance, just for an opportunity to make the wild card. Because there's no way, unless the Packers and Bears flub the bed, that they could win the division. So it's looking like they have to win the games to hopefully make the wild card. Before I continue this NFL recap, there's something that grinded my gears from last night. The Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The final score was 24-17. When there was 14 seconds left of the game, the Raiders had the ball and they were driving down by 10. There was a delay of game flag that got thrown after it looked like they had no time to spike the ball. That bailed them out because the defense got called for delay of game. When there was only mere seconds left of the game, you would think they would try to score a touchdown because they're down by 10. No, that would be crazy. They went for a field goal to make it a 7-point loss. which seems super fishy to me since the spread for before the game started was 8.5. Well, with a 7-point loss, anybody who betted on the spread lost. So somebody wanted the Raiders with the plus 8.5 to win that bet. Or at least that's what it seems like on my end of the thing. But what do I know? Now you get to the Bears. Are they a fraud? Is their win-loss record aberration? Because the Packers defeated the Bears in Green Bay. And Jordan Love played like what the Green Bay Packers assumed he was going to play like when they drafted him, when they still had the MVP Aaron Rodgers on their roster. He was throwing all over the field. He was making plays, and the Bears tried. They tried to make their comeback, but it was too little too late. And now the Packers are leading the division, and the Bears went from 1 to 6. And the Vikings, with J.J. McCarthy back, he had a career-high 3 passing touchdowns and a career-high passer rating of a 129.2. So maybe he heard the haters and he wanted to show that he's a decent quarterback. And he can be a great quarterback. He just needs to work at it. He needs to work a little harder, and that line needs to protect like they did on Sunday. Shedeur Sanders, first rookie this year to have over 300 yards passing. I see you, big fella. And the Colts, OMG. Not only did they lose Daniel Jones probably for the year with Achilles tear, but they got their butts handed to them by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I didn't see that coming. And that was a divisional game that, they need to win to maintain the lead in the division. It's going to be a long season for them, especially if this Achilles tear is serious enough for surgery, which experts are assuming it is. So he more than likely out for the year. And that means, sorry Colts, sorry Jonathan Taylor, but I guess there's always next year. And then the Ravens are in trouble. They lose another one, and this time to the Steelers, the divisional rival Steelers. So now the Steelers are leading the division, and the Ravens are on the outside looking in. And then the Dolphins, bear in mind, they dominated the New York Jets, which is a terrible football team. Absolutely terrible football team. But this is 4th win in a row. And you can only play who's in front of you. You can't pick and choose. So the Dolphins are winning when they need to. This is the playoff stretch. This is where you're fighting for playoff spots. Maybe the Dolphins will slide into the playoffs. Maybe they'll surprise some people. Because any given Sunday, right? And then they had a snow globe game. Bills versus Bengals. Which turned out to be way more epic than I thought it was going to be. With Joe Burrows versus Josh Allen. And Josh Allen just continues to make plays. With his legs, with his arm. He will not let this season be a disappointment. So the Bills have a great chance of not only making the Super Bowl, but they might have a really high chance of winning it all. So let's move to the Sunday night football game pitting the Houston Texans football game, which had the Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. Well, the Houston Texans have the number 1 defense, and they picked Mahomes off not once, not twice, but 3 times. And Patrick had his worst QBR of his career with under 20. He went 14 for 33, 42% accuracy with 0 touchdowns in a must-win game. Like, if the season ended right now, the Kansas City Chiefs will not make the playoffs. Like, 3 years ago, if I told you that the Kansas City Chiefs wouldn't even make the playoffs, you would think I'm crazy. You would look at me and say, drug test this man, because he's talking crazy. But this is the world we living in, and Kansas City Chiefs are not a good football team. I don't know what it is. On paper, they have great receivers. They got good running backs. They got one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, quote unquote. They got a great head coach and a good defense. Chris Jones is really good. Like, he was hawking C.J. Stroud all night long, but he can't do it by himself. One defensive player can't do it all by himself. He doesn't play offense too. So Patrick Mahomes let him down. Like, it's all on Patrick. Like, there's no way you're going 14 for 33 with no touchdowns and you're going to beat anybody in the NFL. Not one team are going to be able to be beaten. Even the bad teams like the Jets or the Titans. There's no way the Kansas City Chiefs can play like this now, let alone if they do somehow, some crazy, mysterious way and make the playoffs. They can't play like that either because they'll be out in the first round. And there'll be no one to blame but themselves. They need to get it together or just chalk it up as a loss and move on to next year because there's no Super Bowl for Kansas City right now, especially the way they're playing. There's way too many good teams on both the AFC and the NFC for Patrick Mahomes to be able to compete against because they're not getting the calls like they used to. Like, their calls are going against them. The balls aren't bouncing the way that they usually bounce for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Travis Kelce, where are you? Are you up in the skybox with your wife to be? Are you dancing on TikTok, doing your podcast with your brother? Because I don't see you on the field, brother. Like, I think you had 2 catches, 4 targets maybe. Come on, bro. Get your head in the game or quit or retire or something. Because this is a game that you're getting paid millions of dollars to play. And I don't see the effort. I don't see the effort at all. And in the end of the season, when the cookie crumbles, you're not going to be in the playoffs. You're going to be watching the game just like me. You're going to be with me hanging out, watching the Bills, watching maybe even the Texans, the Dolphins, the Lions, the Bears, the Seahawks, the Rams. Like, you're going to be watching those teams on TV performing, doing what you guys used to do years ago. And I don't know, maybe you need to flush out the team and start anew or start building because that window, it seemed like it's closed for you. And now you're not automatically going to be in the playoffs every year. Now you're going to have to earn it and fight for it because the teams around you start getting better. Because the AFC used to be top heavy. There were 2 or 3 good teams. Now there's 4 or 5 teams that could win and go deep in the playoffs, which is crazy. Crazy to think about, knowing how dominant the Kansas City Chiefs were and how much and quickly they have fallen. Well, let's go to the NCAA Conference Championship Saturday. Starting with the Big Ten title game. No one besides the fans of the Indiana Hoosiers gave them a shot to beat the OSU Buckeyes. But ironically, Indiana beat OSU 13-10. So for you Michigan fans out there, that should ring a bell. Because 13-10 is the exact same score that Michigan had last year when they went into Buckeye Stadium and beat them. Super ironic, right? And then you had the SEC title game, and Georgia was firing on all cylinders. Gunnar Stockton went 20 for 26 with 156 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And the Georgia defense held Alabama to -3 yards rushing. Like, that's dominating. You can't win a game when you got negative yards on either side, either rushing or passing. Negative yards means they are punching you in the mouth, and you're saying, please, can I have some more? So let's get right into the college football playoff teams in order. Number 1, you got Indiana Hoosiers. Number 2, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 3, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 4, Texas Tech Red Raiders. Number 5, Oregon Ducks. Number 6, Ole Miss Rebels. Number 7, Texas A&M Aggies. Number 8, Oklahoma Sooners. Number 9, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 10, Miami Hurricanes. And 11, Tulane Green Wave. And number 12, James Madison Dukes. Now, I understand how the automatic bids are supposed to work. And I give all the praise to both Tulane and James Madison. But let's be real. They're not winning the national championship. They aren't one of the top 12 teams in all of college football. I honestly feel Notre Dame is better than both these teams. And they need to rethink this process and not have these automatic bids, but make sure that the best 12 teams are represented in the playoffs, or 16 if they move to that. Because honestly, it's not fair. And granted, Notre Dame is acting like children, acting like toddlers. And they're like, well, if we can't get in the college playoff, we don't want to be in any bowl game. See you next year. Like, who does that? What about the seniors on that team who want to play in a bowl game before they go to the next step in life, the NFL or whatever? You're punishing your own team. You're punishing your own kids. And that doesn't sit right for me. So, honestly, Notre Dame, I'm glad you didn't make the playoffs. Because now we can see what type of organization you really are. And aren't you supposed to be a religious school? That doesn't seem godlike to me. Not at all. But before I move on to the power rankings of the week, the Michigan Wolverines will play Texas Longhorns in the Citrus Bowl in New Year's Eve in Orlando, Florida. I wish I could go. Hey, someone buy me a ticket and plane ticket. Let me go. Go Blue. So here's the NBA power ranking. You got the OKC Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They still only lost one game, which is wild to me. Every week I say, well, they're gonna lose another one, but Shai and that organization is showing that they have no NBA Finals hangover. Then you got the Pistons, who are still on top of the Eastern Conference. You got the LA Lakers, who just keeps winning. Luka is playing out of his mind, and LeBron James is just sitting back, chilling in his umbrella chair and sipping his Mai Tais. And the Denver Nuggets, I mean, they still got one of the best players in the league in Nikola Jokic, averaging triple-double as a center. Yeah, a center. And then the bottom teams on my power ranking, it's a tie between the Rockets and Knicks. They're performing. They're doing what they need to do. They're winning. And they're good enough to be on my power ranking. But it was a toss-up between the two. So I figure I name them both. Oh, yeah, and one more point, going back to the Lakers. I think someone said, hey, LeBron, you broke that streak of having 10-plus points. And he was like, all right, so hold my beer. Because last night he dropped 29, which is a season high for him. But considering he scored 8 points in his last game, granted he had a shot, and that moment shows how unselfish LeBron James truly is. Because he could have forced up a shot. They were tied, so if he missed it, they would have won overtime. But he saw the open guy in the corner, and instead of being selfish, he threw it to the open guy who sunk the shot and won the game in regulation. So that's LeBron James for you, doing everything in his power to win the game. It's not always about him. So let's get right into the MVP watch list for the NBA. You got Shai averaging 32.8 points per game, and his team has only lost one game this year, making his team 23-1. 23-1. Insane. Then you got Luka Doncic, who's averaging 35 points per game, and the Lakers are number 2 in the West, tied with the Nuggets. And speaking of the Nuggets, you got Nikola Jokic. Now here's where it gets Jokic-like. He's averaging 29.2 points per game. He also has 12.3 boards per game and 11 assists per game, which he's leading in both of those categories right now. But he's a center, though. And then you got Cade Cunningham of the Detroit Pistons, averaging 27.5 points per game and 9.3 assists per game. And his team's leading the East and is number 2 overall in all of the NBA. Only because the Thunder can't seem to lose. And then it was a toss-up for this spot, but I give it to Tyrese Maxey, who is averaging 31.5 points per game. So here's an all-knowing, all-powerful NFL power ranking of the week. Let's start off with the Buffalo Bills. Everyone knows Josh Allen is good. Josh Allen is a dual threat. 5 games this season, he's thrown and ran for a touchdown. That can be overshadowed. The Bills are a powerful team right now. Then you got the LA Rams. Here's the breakdown of that team right now. You got Matt Stafford, who's a top 3 quarterback. You got Puka Nacua, who's a top 3 wide receiver. Not to mention you got Devontae Adams, who's a top 10 wide receiver. Then you got Kyron Williams, who's a top 10 running back. You got Jared Verse, who's a top 5 D lineman. And not to mention, Sean McVay is a top 3 head coach in the league. So, if the season ended today, the Rams would be the number 1 seed in NFC. And they deserve it because they are smacking people around. Next up is the Seattle Seahawks. They have the huge favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year in JSN, Jackson Smith Njobe. He's on pace to have something that's never happened ever and to have 2,000 receiving yards. Then you got the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix just does all the things, whether it's passing, 2,742 yards and 19 TDs, or his rushing ability, 329 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So instead of having another team, I got 2 dark horses for you. You got the Miami Dolphins. They've won 3 straight. Tua is playing great ball. So keep an eye on them. They might do some damage if they can make the playoffs. Then you got the division-leading Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And their defense is playing great. And they're still in the hunt to win said division. So with that being said, this is my favorite segment of the week where I can just blabber on and on about a subject. I like to call it the elephant in the room. This week, I'm talking about athletes not trying, giving up on their team in the middle of the game, at the end of the game, whatever. Just athletes who get paid to do a job and just give up, and they still get paid, and people aren't supposed to ridicule them or look down on them. But that's my job. So I'm looking at you, George Pickens. Like, I like you as a player. I think you're a great wide receiver. And I know wide receivers are the biggest prima donnas on the planet because you had the T.O.s of the world and the Ocho Cincos of the world and the Randy Mosses. But from what I know, from what my eyeballs can see, None of those people that I just named, the TOs, the Chad Ochocinco's, and the Randy Moss, gave up, didn't put in effort during the game. They might have whined and cried before the game. They might have whined and cried after the game. They definitely whined and cried to get more money on the off season. But they didn't do any of this stuff like George Pickens did during the Cowboys versus Lions Thursday night game. There's a handful of plays where you look and he's open, or as open as he could be, and he just seemed to give up. Didn't run as fast as he normally does, or go after the ball like he normally does, and just looks at it like, oh well, I'm still getting paid. Who cares if we win? Which they needed. They needed to win that game. The Cowboys are not at the luxury of being 10-2 or 12-2 or whatever. Like, they're fighting for their playoff lives and trying to scrape and crawl. And with the division the way it is, they just need to take out the Eagles. And it's possible. But not when you got players giving up on them during the game. Like, that was a close enough game that touchdown that he just whiffed on or ignored, or maybe he was tweeting. Maybe he was, I don't know, maybe he had a hangnail. Maybe he maybe his big toe hurt. Maybe he stubbed his toe, you know? But he literally gave up. And the only other player that I remember in the NFL, which happens to be another wide receiver, I'm looking at you, Antonio Brown, when you took your jersey off and just walked off the field like you something special. What are you doing right now? Same thing I'm doing. Just talking my crap. So George Pickens, if you don't want to make these millions of dollars, if working is not something you want to do, then retire or give the money back. And I know neither of those are going to happen. So step your game up, bro. Because you have a privilege, not a right, to be an NFL player. There's millions of young people who are good enough to maybe play in the NFL, but they never got their shot, never got their chance. And they will do anything to switch places with you. And you're just going to give up on your team? For why? What do you account? What are you showing the youth that once you get your money, it's okay to stop trying? Like, at my job, I can't just stop trying. I can't just go to work and just stand there and sit on the floor and be like, you still going to pay me regardless. That's not how the real world works. So George Pickens, be better, bro. Please be better. And I'm not a Cowboys fan whatsoever. But it's not fair to the Cowboys to deal with you if you're just going to stop trying. So get with it, bro. Here's your Raw preview for tonight. Monday Night Raw will come to you live from Chocolate Place, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Gunther is going to address John Cena before their matchup on Saturday. Rey Mysterio takes on Finn Balor. And according to what happened last week, Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan probably going to have some interaction. That's probably her next challenger. LA Knight should appear tonight. Maybe he'll talk about his loss to Gunther. Maybe not. Maybe they'll forget about it. Maybe he'll blame somebody else. That's what they do. And then AJ Styles and Dragon Lee take on the War Raiders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And then Lyra Valkyria will take on Roxanne Perez. But besides that, that's it. That's all that Raw as advertised. So hopefully we'll get something. Maybe I don't know, something. Maybe Jey Uso will explain why he looked like he had a stick up his butt. because even when he was backstage last week, he said, when Roman said the title's gonna look good on his shoulders, he was basically saying it don't look good on mine. Like, come on, bro. Like, seriously, you comparing yourself to Roman? I mean, I love you some Jay Uso, the Yeet Man. 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. Like, I like all that stuff. The music and the crowd gets into it, but clearly they got nothing for you. The title picture is full right now, and I don't know, tag team titles. It's been a while. I'll be all for that. AJ Styles, Dragon Lee versus the Usos for the tag team championships. Bet. Let's do it right now. And then you can come back to the world title. You can go to the IC. There's a lot of things you can do. You don't have to, whine about it. Yeet. But there you have it. Episode 7 is in the books. So don't forget to smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. Comment down below or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if I suck or I'm good or I'm bad or I'm great. And I'm a goat in my own head. So next week will be episode 8. So I'm going to preview, not preview. Fuck. So next week will be episode 8. So if you got any suggestions of what I can name this episode, leave it down in the comments. Send me the email to bishopsbreakdown@gmail.com. And I will see you crazy people next week. Same Bishop time, same Bishop channel. Like a great man once said, John Cena, control the controllables. And by the way, Saturday, the last time is going to be truly now. And after Saturday, you won't be able to see him. So with that being said, deuces. Ooses.